Now, Providence Ridge might be one of the most stunning maps in all of State of Decay 2. It features huge mountains, fun areas to really explore, but I have to say this map is one of the trickier ones to choose which is the best base, so you definitely made into the right video. So with that, let's jump into it. So Providence Ridge has some of the most interesting bases in the entire game, and because of that, it was a little harder for me to judge with just two clear-cut winners. So I actually have three, and depending on your situation, you're going to want to decide for yourself what fits best. So we'll start this off with my favorite base in the entire map, and that is the Fortified truck stop. And that might surprise some of you, but this is what you would consider a mid-game base, costing 500 in the green zone and 1000 in lethal. The reason this is my favorite base on this map is because now I've done two full lethal runs, and I go from the starter base to this one, and I never leave anywhere else, including the other endgame bases I'll talk about here shortly. The reason is that this base is just insanely good on all fronts. Comes in with two large slots with an already built-in auto shop that you can tear down if you don't want it, or customizable small slots. It also comes in with a built-in kitchen and built-in watchtower, plus an extra fuel tank for the ability to hoard a bunch of fuel rucksacks. So essentially, that's kind of the bonus to this base, is that facility that double downs as a fuel storage and a watchtower at the same time. But what also makes this base great is the actual position of it on this map, and it's located at the top center, but there is really roads that lead to all four corners starting from this base. I find typically that two large slots is enough for me in the end game, and four small slots are definitely good enough, and it really leaves enough wiggle room to build a fighting gym and all the other things that I like to do. But the downside has to be the fact that this is a mid-game base. Beds are going to be very hard to build and come by, and if you end up with a large community of 8 to 10 person, I think you will outgrow this. But one last thing to say is that defending it isn't too bad either, and overall this is my favorite home on this entire map. So Prescott Fire Station is almost like the Swiss Army knife of an endgame base, and this is one of two endgame bases on this map, coming in at 1750 in the green zone and 3500 in lethal, featuring three small slots that you can build in, two large slots that are free to play with. On the surface, you'll go, man, that's not a lot for an endgame base, but what makes this base interesting is all the built-in things it comes with, starting with a unique utility room that provides both water and power at the cost of 2 fuel. So if you happen to not have the legacy boon that gives you the free base-wide power and free base-wide water, this is actually pretty huge. Then it comes in with a built-in watchtower, a built-in fighting gym, which FYI, again, is one of my favorite facilities to build in this entire game because of that free plus 20 health and that fighting experience. It also comes in with a built-in kitchen, a built-in workshop, and a built-in latrine to improve morale, and finally comes in with some beds as well. So obviously, you're getting a lot of your basic needs met, plus a ton of extra goodies. So it's easy to see why this is one of the favorite among many, but mostly if you don't care about the lack of large slots to build in. The base isn't too bad to defend, but the major drawback for me is actually, I think, the location. Being on the bottom left of the map in a town that isn't the easiest to drive through as well is a little annoying, but overall it's a great base and one I do recommend for the endgame. And finally, we have a lumber mill in Providence Ridge, coming in at the cost of 1750 in the green or 3500 in lethal, classifying it as an endgame base on the map, and that's with a good reason. It has 5 large slots to play with and 3 small slots to build upon. So this is a base that lets you pretty much lay it out in the way that you want. It does feature one special perk, which is the sawmill, that for the cost of labor gets you some free building materials. Unfortunately, building materials though will eventually become useless the further along in your playthrough, so it's not that great of a perk. Overall, this base is essentially a blank canvas, and it's why it's on the top of the list, because you can customize it to your liking. It's also not in the very best location at the very bottom right of the map, and defending it can be a pain, but overall I really think this is a solid base, especially if you happen to have a very large community. With that, guys, if you want a full video on all the best bases in State of Decay 2 for all maps, click this video right here.